let's talk about Aptos. Big old new blockchains in town. They're launching and it's going live, and everybody's talking about it. And it is interesting. The battle for the base layer heating up with a couple of new entrants to the market who are based on the Move programming language, which emerged from the Libra project out of Facebook. Definitely sentiment out here on Aptos has been interesting to watch on Twitter. I think a lot of doubt, maybe a lot of angst out here on this one, but certainly this is going live, and we're going to talk about it. All right, Will, I'm throwing it to you. What are you thinking about Aptos going live? This one has been watched pretty closely, has received quite a bit of funding from the world of venture capital, and is now approaching mainnet. What are you thinking?
L1s are back, baby. It's time to talk about L1s once again. That happens like every bear market, I feel like. But last year we did have like the big Solana, Luna, AVAX trade that a lot of people were pumping around, kicking the tires on that thing. But now we have some biddle season and everyone's talking about transaction throughput. They're talking about scalability. They're talking about the devs, where they came from, their backstories. And Aptos has a lot of this, right? It's touting hundreds of thousands of transactions per second. It's touting former Meta employees who are building Meta's former ambitions for its own L1. And, it's got an interesting story with some of the stuff it did at the end of the DeFi bear market as well, or DeFi bull market, I should say. So there's some momentum around this chain, definitely. That being said, I'm a little bearish on all L1s right now because there's so much stuff to work through from the bull market. Like, it was a pretty brutal exit from the bull market going into the bear market. A lot of these L1s collapsed. We only saw Bitcoin and Ethereum really hold up in terms of their narratives. And even Bitcoin kind of took a nosedive, right? Remember, we're talking about Bitcoin being some sort of inflation hedge? That's not really working. So why talk about yet another L1? What's that going to do for anyone? The one thing that's also interesting about Aptos is that it kind of had a bad launch date where a lot of people said it was going to be able to push through hundreds of thousands of transactions. Turns out there's only like 4 going through at a time, and those 4 transactions per second seem to be relegated to like some developer work on it. So no one's really quite using it yet. And there's also questions about the tokens itself. A lot of the tokens on the network are staked, and staked tokens typically are relegated to a VC's wallet and then they're dumped later on. So I think we have a lot of questions to go through before we see Aptos do anything. That being said, the birth of an L1 is interesting, and we'll see what happens with it. Wendy, I throw it up to you, get your take on this.
So it might not be an ideal time to launch an L1, but I think that a bear market is actually a perfect time. And the reason why is there's not like a whole lot of chatter going on. And this project seems to have gotten a lot of chatter, especially from crypto Twitter. Again, I am a hopeless romantic when it comes to entrepreneurism, when it comes to people creating, when it comes to capitalism, when it comes to positive competition. And I like the idea of layer ones directly competing because it forces the OGs, it forces the ones that have been around longest to kind of step their game up. So me personally, I will be watching how this project launches. I'll be watching all of the different things that they continue to create and develop and see if they can directly compete with some of the big dogs like Ethereum.
I'm curious what you guys think about these grand statements that set these grand expectations when it comes to layer ones. And immediately it's like the product launches and everyone is disappointed. And it feels like the cycle that we go through. Like, do you feel like there should be more of, I guess, like a soft launch, or maybe we should be more realistic so that we don't set ourselves up for this type of disappointment again and again?
Nah, haters gonna hate. There's always gonna be something. There's always gonna be something. You're assembling these planes in flight. There's always gonna be something. Test nuts are test nuts for a reason, and people come out for the mainnet and show up. I think the funny thing about Aptos, right? We're seeing sort of chatter. Remember Ethereum killer? Remember when that was sort of a term of art in crypto? Aptos is not aiming for that. It's aiming to be the Solana killer. And whether or not that actually comes to pass, I think would be the interesting thing to watch on this one. But I got to throw it to Wendy for her last thoughts on this whole thing.
I think that the crypto community should know by now technology is hard, being a dev is hard, and things don't always go according to plan. So if you're putting all your eggs in one basket just because you're reading all these MSN headlines, you're going to get absolutely wrecked. Sometimes it's good to take a step back and just kind of watch things progress. You don't have to ape in. You can watch. No action is an action at times. And sometimes you're going to become a lot more well-versed if you take a step back and you watch how these things continue to develop over time.